My name is Victor. I am 21 years old. I began working for the Portland Timbers back in 2014. The Timbers Army scarf, that was the first scarf that was ever given to me by a supporter. There's a tradition where the supporters in the Timbers Army will scarf an employee who they appreciate. He just put it on my shoulders. Ever since then, I've carried that scarf with me. I also have the Mi Ciudad, Mi Equipo one, my team, my city. Having it in Spanish connects with the Hispanic side of me and what it means to me to have a soccer team, which is obviously in the Hispanic culture the main sport. I grew up around soccer, and then from there I kind of grew into my love for basketball. I remember in second grade the Blazers had this campaign called Read to Achieve. If you read a certain amount of books, you would get a free ticket to a game. I did the reading and I got a free ticket, and my dad took me. That really captivated me. Sports are a big part of my life. I used to play club soccer when I was growing up. In high school, I played club basketball too. Unfortunately, I had a really hard time with my ankle, and that stopped me from playing like full on. It's kind of like a blessing in disguise. It helped me realize what my true passion was, what my professional life would be after college, if college was going to be an option. I realized I wanted to do a lot of behind-the-scenes work in sports. To this day, it's still something that I'm pursuing. Growing up on the east side of Portland and East County, it's a really underserved area of town. Everything from 82nd East usually gets forgotten about. A lot of the community assist programs that pro sports teams do don't always include the youth from the east side, and I'd love to bring some community assist to East County, very much like the Timbers have done lately with the futsal courts over here in Rockwood. Futsal is soccer played on a hard floor with a smaller ball. A good friend of mine, Ricky Reese, started this campaign to bring futsal courts to the East County. The whole purpose was to give Rockwood kids free, accessible soccer, just so they could play. You grow up in this neighborhood and you see the kind of activity that goes on, and it doesn't surprise you. It's normal to you, and this is home. This area has been notorious for gang involvement and bad stuff for youth. Providing safe places for them to participate in healthy activities, stuff like that, that I think really impacts the community, and it really impacts me, and that's what I want to work on too. I was born in the city of Chilpancingo in the state of Guerrero in Mexico. I lived there for 4 years and a half before my family decided to make the journey to come to the U.S. pursuing, everything that's advertised in Mexico. Prosperity, jobs, a better life. My parents have told me a little bit about how rough life in Mexico was. My dad couldn't find a job. My mom had a job that was barely holding the family together. And so they decided to make the drastic decision, and we left. We came here to Portland. My dad had family here. I had no idea where I was going. I was 4, and big culture shock. Just being here, you realize how much better life is in the U.S. just by seeing your surroundings. The streets were clean, everything was organized. You get here and you think, whoa, it's like this great place, and it's only East County. You've seen nothing kind of thing, but to me it was the greatest thing ever. Some people that don't live here might look at it and think, oh, it's a crazy neighborhood. Cops with their sirens on, people making noise, yelling, but that's the norm to me. It's home.
Hear that?
And so growing up here has been really interesting. We had a big courtyard in the middle of our apartments. There was soccer, there was tag. We were all just a big family kind of thing. Even though all this other stuff was going on in the main street, we were having a good time. That's basically how everybody in this neighborhood kind of grows up. This neighborhood is one of the most diverse neighborhoods in Portland. There's a large African American population, Asian population, a very, very large Hispanic population. And even in the Caucasian population, it's still very low class. Mm-hmm. And so I would consider them a minority as well as compared to the rest of the city. We all grow up together. We know what it's like living in poverty, barely making rent, barely getting enough food. I think the hardships I've gone through prepared me to know what it is I need to do, and I also learned to value the effort that my parents put in to provide for me and then later on for my siblings. The values you learn growing up in this neighborhood is work harder than most people just to achieve possibly the same success. I know I have to put in double, triple the time. I have to prepare myself a lot more than just the average person has to for anything, which is totally fine, because at the end of the day, when you achieve a certain level of success, or when you achieve something knowing how hard you worked your butt off for it, the feeling is a lot more rewarding. It was really, really difficult at first. I remember it was great because there was a lot of Hispanic families and there was a lot of kids my age, so it was easy to make friends. However, a few of them already knew how to speak English. And I was in here like, I don't know anything. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what that sign says. I don't know what I'm hearing on TV. That was in February of 2001. And then in September of 2001, I started kindergarten. And in kindergarten, I met this great person. His name's Mr. Pierce. And he was my English language development teacher. One thing that made him so great was that he also focused on me maintaining my Spanish skills. And through him, I was able to, by maybe first grade, second grade, be fluent in English and Spanish in reading, speaking, and writing, which was definitely incredible, and my parents give a lot of credit to him too. Those first couple years were really hard, but at the same time, they were really helpful in me developing as a young boy, maintaining the fact that, yes, I'm Hispanic and I'm Mexican, but I grew into the idea that, yes, I'm also American. The way I live here reflects who I really think I am, which is that I'm a Mexican-American person, whether I'm a citizen or not. Mexico might have given birth to me, but America was the one that raised me. And I like to tell people, you know, Portland's the city that raised me. That's why I wear it on my chest, I wear it everywhere. I really have a lot of love for this city, a lot of appreciation for this city. It's the whitest city in America. But one thing I always tell people, it's, you know what, I meet the nicest white people in America, in Portland. It's rare that I ran into racists or people that are against me being here. It's happened, of course, but 90% of the white people that I've met here have just been amazingly nice to me, or I've seen them be nice to other minorities. A lot of them are so embracing, so supportive of us being here, that I think there's just so much love that we have for them as well. A lot of houses have the signs that say, in our America, love wins, nobody is illegal. That really warms my heart to see that, you know, there's people out there that really care about us and actively support us. People that aren't in our position, they might not realize how much just a simple sign means. Walking down a neighborhood of houses, you might initially be scared. Like, it's a white neighborhood, they're just gonna think I'm up to no good. A sign that says refugees are welcome here or stuff like that. All of a sudden, like, knowing that there's people in that house that believe in that and they are not shy about it, it speaks volumes, or at least to me it does. You know, I feel like it'd be so much different if I lived in somewhere like Texas or Arizona. I'm the kind of person that gets attached to things, and definitely the city is one of them. The state of Oregon is one of them. It's really made me who I am, and that's why I want to give back to the city that raised me. So back in 2013, I started my senior year of high school. A lot of teachers would tell me, you're such a great student, like, you need to go to college. And I would always just say, yeah, I'm definitely gonna think about it. But in the back of my mind, it was always, am I even going to be able to go to college? Is that even gonna be a possibility? Why? Because I'm not a US citizen. Non-US citizens, it's really hard to go to college. And then later that year, this great thing came around under President Obama called DACA, which is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So basically DACA is, if you were brought here by an adult, illegally as they like to call it, and you were under the age of 16 when you were brought in, you get sort of a pardon because technically you were brought here without your own consent, and so you are not at fault for coming in here undocumented. You get a 2-year social security number and work authorization. And through that, I could actually start applying for schools and for scholarships and for all these other programs that would benefit me post high school. I went straight to the career and college center that we had at Reynolds High School. I went crazy. I was like, yes, like, I'm gonna get to go to college. I was just so happy that I forgot one thing, which was, how on earth am I gonna pay for college? Through DACA, unfortunately, we don't even qualify to even apply for financial aid. So because of that, I went crazy applying for scholarships. Even the $500 ones, the $1,000 ones, I didn't care. I applied for them because if I could get 10 $1,000 ones, that was $10,000. I started getting a lot of acceptance letters. I got into Oregon State, I got into University of Oregon, I got into Hofstra University in New York. I got into all these schools and I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to afford to go to that school. How am I gonna apply for a scholarship and get it and I'm still gonna owe $25,000? I was stuck in kind of limbo. That was when a friend at school told me you should apply to Warner Pacific University. It's a private school, it's expensive, but they also offer a lot of financial aid. I went to Warner Pacific, I spoke to Gerardo Cifuentes, who was a financial aid director back then. It was just beyond helpful to have somebody there, somebody like me, who could communicate with me and my parents. They both don't speak any English, and walk us through the whole process. We had no idea, obviously, first generation applying to college. It turned out that Warner Pacific was the best option for me. I could save myself thousands of dollars by living at home. There was a lot of financial aid, a lot of awards, college savings programs, and then I had also gotten a few scholarships on my own. That was about 4 years ago. Here I am 4 years later, gonna graduate soon. And it's all because really it started with DACA. And unfortunately right now we're kind of in a turmoil as far as what's gonna happen with the program under this current administration. It's been shut down. I had to recently reapply. When I found out that the president was shutting it down, I was honestly scared. I remember sitting down with my parents and talking to them and saying, hey, this and this happened. And it was like 5 minutes of quiet. Like we were looking at each other, we were looking down at our feet, we didn't know what to think. I came into my room, I was honestly so like distraught that I started crying. I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen to me. I'm 7 months away from having my college degree, pursuing what I want to do in life here in what I consider to be my country, and now I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to make it to graduation. My DACA expires in January, but for all I know, I might be out of here before then. I thought it was over. I think I stayed in my room all day thinking about, I got jobs, what am I gonna say? My parents' money that they've invested in me and my education is gonna go down the drain. And so it was a really, really scary time for me, as I'm sure it was for the other 800,000 DACA recipients that are in this country.
The thing that seems most courageous about it is that when you signed up for DACA, you put yourself on a list.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because when DACA came out, I wouldn't say us that were gonna apply for it were skeptical, but our parents for sure were. They were like, this is just a way for them to find out who's undocumented and who isn't, and if we sign you up, they're gonna know about us. It was a really big deal whether they were gonna have their kids apply for this opportunity or not. But I think at the end of the day, parents are parents, and the whole reason they're here is because of us, and they realized that this was an opportunity that maybe wasn't gonna come again. We went to an immigration lawyer, we talked to them about it. They said they can't really be deported unless, they commit a serious offense or something like that. So as long as you're a good citizen, you should not be at risk of getting deported. I think that was really enough for my parents. I was gonna be safe.
How's it feeling now?
It's really scary. Just last year, there was another DACA recipient who got arrested and was taken up to Tacoma, a detention center there, due to something he had on his criminal record some time ago that he had already gotten fixed. And he's actually a great community advocate. He works really hard in the community. For something like that to happen to him, somebody that's clearly bringing good to the community and to the neighborhood, what does that say about everybody else? And so to know that people were just getting picked up out of their houses and taken up to detention centers by ICE for the smallest infractions. Somebody had a speeding ticket, I heard. They're really hunting us down for the most minimum thing. We really gotta be super extra careful. As far as I know, there hasn't been any toning down on ICE pickups for DACA recipients, and it's still something that we're very, very attentive of. At the end of the day though, we live in fear every day. Every day my parents go to work. There's always the idea in the back of their head that today ICE might just drop into work. They come back home and, we're good for the day. But at 5 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever time they leave to work the next day, I'm pretty sure the fear is back on full. My mom works 12-hour days sometimes, 6 out of the 7 days a week. She's thinking about what's gonna happen to me, what's gonna happen to my brothers. I hate having conversations with her about it because she's always like, hey, if I ever get taken by ICE, I need you to take care of your brothers. I'm always like, well, yeah, obviously, I'm not gonna leave them. But sometimes I sit and think about it, and it's like she knows how much of a possibility and a reality that could be, that she just wants to keep reminding me. I think it's just a constant fear. It's hard to see them going through that, mostly because under DACA, I'm a lot more comfortable now. I'm not as fearful as I used to be, but for them, it's definitely still going on and hard. And I know that's with every undocumented parent out there. I know they go to work every day in fear of something like that happening.
Do they see themselves as Americans, as Mexicans?
I think they, more than anything, consider themselves Mexicans. They're living here for the sole fact that they want to raise their kids in a better environment. You always get the people that are like, you know, if they've lived here so long, why haven't they even tried to learn English? It's saddening to me because people don't understand how hard they've tried. You know, you always hear it's easier for kids to learn because their brains are sponges, and for adults it's harder. And I really think that's the case. They've tried, and it's just something that hasn't been able to stick with them. At the end of the day, that's what their kids are here for. They're here to help them out because they've already done so much for us. That's the least we could do for them. We've been blessed to have everything that we've ever needed. I know my parents worked so hard to provide for me. I could never give enough thanks for that, and they know it.
What do you feel like at school? Do other people understand you? Do you understand them?
It's really interesting. It's a school that's really big on diversity, and I think they've improved a lot over the past 4 years on that, where I'm starting to see a lot more color. Sitting in the chairs in classrooms, but also teaching in classrooms. Mm-hmm. But when I first started, it was like, whoa, there's a lot of white people here. But throughout my whole life, it's kind of been like that. You kind of learn to appeal to white people. My friends and I joke about how when you're on the phone, whether it be an interview or if you're at work and you're providing customer service, you always use your white voice, which is the whole, you know, why hello, how are you? Yes, how may I help you? You wouldn't ever hear me talking like, hey, what's up, bro? How can I help you? Nothing like that, you know? More of a professional tone, really. But, you know, we dub it our white voice just because if you think about like corporate America or anything like that, it's almost exclusively white.
And how about at school? Are you in white voice at school?
At school, I did when I first started because I didn't, you know, I used to think it was going to be like really uptight. It's not so much that I have to appeal to the white people as much as I thought when I first started. I definitely grew to be more comfortable around people there, which is something I really appreciated of that school.
How do the other DACA people at school see you? Because trying to get this film made, it seemed that people were pushing you forward. Why do people push you forward?
I think it might be just because I'm a little more outspoken about my situation. With the current administration, they might just be scared to even say they weren't born in the U.S. Family members might be in jeopardy. I think it's important for people to know that there's people like me, and there's 800,000 of us in this country. All it takes is one person to stand up and say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I am, and this is what I'm here for. And hopefully that inspires others to do the same. I've been chosen a few times to speak at like scholarship lunches, you know, alumni lunches, stuff like that. I'll tell them about my experience at school and what it's been like going to Warner Pacific University.
The good stuff.
Yeah. I keep it to the good, positive stuff, which is what they want to hear anyway.
Do you have any complaints?
No, not really. It's honestly been a good experience for the most part. I've had a few confrontations with racism last semester. There was some tension and drama on social media. This guy at school, one of his comments to like a good friend of mine was, go back to where you came from. She was actually born here. She is a U.S. citizen. So many other people that look like me, that speak in two languages like me, are actually born here. Like, it was an assumption that he had no right in making. To me, that was like extremely racist of him. When I really felt the Hispanic community, they kind of just tucked it under the rug and waited for it to die down and then just pretend it never happened.
Are you envious of those friends of yours who are Mexican who actually do have citizenship?
Oh yeah, definitely. They have so many opportunities that I don't have. The one thing that saddens me the most is those that don't like go to Mexico. They don't try to experience their heritage. For me, it's something that's impossible to do. Through DACA, there's kind of like this little loophole thing where if you have like a family emergency of some sort, you're granted permission to leave the country and re-enter lawfully once, only once. My grandma was terminally ill, my mom's mom. My grandma had already met me, but it meant so much for her to meet my brothers. My parents couldn't go because of their citizenship status, and so she sent me with my brothers. And my grandma passed away on the 7th day. Hardest thing I've ever had to experience. I wish that instead of me being there, it was my mom, because grandma meant so much to me, but that love is not even close to being the same as love between my mom and her, you know. She was the youngest one out of 15. She was the only one that my grandma hadn't seen before she died. I really felt like deep inside that she was holding on for so long because she was waiting for my mom. I saw the pain she would go through on her bed, just waiting it out, and I didn't want her to suffer anymore. And I remember telling her, my mom's not coming. The first day I got there, everybody threw like this big celebration. The gringos are here, the Americans are here. They threw like confetti on us, and then as soon as they walked me into her room, I remember bawling my eyes out, and my aunt's just holding me and saying, it's okay, but like, I just wanted to yell at them and be like, it's not okay, like you don't understand, because my mom made such a sacrifice to better my life. She was willing to give up not seeing her parents ever again. And I love my mom so much, and I love my dad so much. To understand how big that sacrifice must have been is what really broke my heart. When my grandpa died, she was in bed for like 3 straight days. And I was like, well, this is her mom. Like, I don't even want to imagine what she's going through right now. It was a very special thing for me to be able to go back.
So what would you say to someone who said illegal is illegal?
A lot of undocumented people feel really strongly about the term illegal. They don't like it. For me, I kind of grew up embracing it. It doesn't really affect me. I know who I am. I feel like I'm American just because I've been here for 17 years of my life. People are always trying to look for somebody to blame. And if I say it's not my fault, they're gonna hit me with, okay, then whose is it? I can't like throw my parents under the bus. I would say me being undocumented was not my option, but me living here and prospering here is my option, and it's what I want to do. I have lived and behaved under American laws. We do everything that any American does. The only thing that's different is a piece of paper that says, yes, we can be here, or no, we can't be here. We're paying our taxes, doing community work. What difference does it make to you? And you know, they'll hit you with the, oh, you're stealing jobs that US citizens could have. And I'm like, first of all, my parents work jobs that not a lot of American citizens would want to work. She tells me all these stories. Oh, we had this person come in. They were here for 2 days. They didn't show up again. Why? Because they can't stand the cold, the smell, how hard and heavy, the rhythm that they work at. And yet she's been there for over 10 years. I know my dad has been working at his job a little more than 10 years as well. And I feel like arguing with somebody that's far right is really an argument that you're not gonna win. I think the best you could do is just put the facts on the table for them. If somebody has their mindset on believing a certain thing, that's what it's gonna be. We're held at such a high standard as compared to other people. You read headlines and it says, undocumented person does blah. They wanna highlight that the statement is, all these people are bad, we should take them out. When it's really like that 1 or 2 people out of thousands that, you know, are actually peaceful. It's just stuff like that that makes us want to work harder and be better citizens. And that's the thing about my parents. Since I was very young, they let me know, you know, you're undocumented. Like, this is who you are, and this is why you have to be in a certain way. It was very helpful on their part to let me know there's some things I cannot do, there's some things I shouldn't do, there's some things I don't have access to. You basically have like a target on your back, and you know, they're just waiting for you to slip up, and if you slip up, then we all slip up. It's a chain effect kind of thing. I got raised in kind of a strict household. Even to this day, I still have to let my parents know like where I'm going, how long I'm gonna be out, who I'm gonna be with. The pressure of me not messing up is even more now.
Do you regret having to be so careful?
No, I think it was actually a good thing. I think it helped me. I saw a lot of friends that, you know, would skip school. They would get involved in drugs and gang activity. It kind of kept me straight.